audience. I got 3 and a lot more. Okay.
As long as you can see the bumper.
No, I know, right?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so I did my thing on why CBT should be used to reduce rates of reoffending and improve their quality of life in the prison system and after they get out.
Okay.
This is just the literal definition, but basically what it is that cognitive behavioral therapy changes how you approach issues in your life, changes your mindset, it changes the destructive patterns, like trying to keep it PG, like self-harm there, thank you. And the thoughts that contribute to these destructive patterns, it changes perception. So it's not so much the underlying things, it's more how you're approaching them, how you're thinking of them. It's used to alter that process, but empower the individuals as well. It's really big on that, and it's a long-term therapy. So 2 to 3 sessions isn't really going to do anything. It's more of a months. Okay, this is how it helps them. It's a little rundown. But basically, prison is very stressful. The whole trial process, awaiting trial, it brings stress that a lot of us hopefully will never know. There's a psychologist, Natalie Dumornay, I'm hoping I said that right. In 2022, she found that prison stays can lead to new and onset mental health symptoms or exacerbate existing mental health disorders. The correctional staff in the agencies and rehabilitation facilities aren't able to properly bring about desired results, specifically pertaining to rehabilitation. Our prison system is pretty flawed, and a lot of that is due to funding, to be fair. But this same psychologist also found that offending and reoffending are linked to emotional regulation impairment. And CBT focuses on that emotional regulation, changing how you're processing these emotions, all the fun stuff. Okay, is CBT bad? No way. So, even with all the evidence supporting the benefits of CBT, there's going to be people that argue against it. Some say the correctional settings are just so stressful that this modality of therapy is not going to really do anything, and it's a toss-up. It's fair. To be totally fair, no modality of therapy is going to work for every single individual out there, and that's why there's so many. There's DBT, CBT, and then there are professionals who say it's very gaslighty, and this was a word a therapist literally used. Gaslighty, I know, right? And also, to be fair, it is, because it's your perception. It's how you're handling emotions. Not really, what if someone had trauma, and then you're like, but your perception. Yeah, definitely can see that. There's actually a study done in Nigeria that looked at how CBT could help manage their stress while they were waiting trial. Yeah. That was found to be a very non-credible study. That's because it wasn't peer-reviewed. They kind of just put it out there, put out their evidence, and when you don't peer-review a study, kind of the credibility just goes down. It can be gaslighty, but when used with correct modalities like trauma therapy, you can address those underlying things and change their perception. So usually therapists aren't just relying on CBT that heavily. There are 2 different studies, one done by Ms. Dumornay, who we heard about, and then there was one done in Sweden as well. They found the more strongly a person is convinced they have the skills and power to cope with negative feelings, the higher their satisfaction in life will be. So it is very helpful, even though people don't like it because of those reasons. It can still be helpful. It's just use it correctly, use it when you actually need it, not just relying on it. CBT changes the ways of thinking that may otherwise lead to depression or self-harm or higher anxiety, and that's why in prison systems, it definitely is going to benefit them, because how stressful is sitting awaiting a trial where you may not know your fate. CBT can mitigate the effects of correctional settings, prevent their cognitive decline, and that includes after they get out as well, because then they'll have those tools to help them cope. They learn the coping skills, they learn what they need to do. Mainstream rehabilitation method may not work, but if they start introducing CBT, they can make the prisoners less stressed. It can decrease reoffending because then they learn all the coping mechanisms. They learn how to change their ways of thinking. I hope you'll like it, and I hope they start introducing that into prisons. Here's my audience again.